And I heard God one day teach me how to treat myself. And he gave me a comparison. I heard literally the words, if you think you're a burden on your mom and your sister, what if you treated yourself like you were them? And I
Mm.
fell to my knees. I literally fell to my knees. It's what my TED Talk is about. Me and 700 square feet of my apartment, and I'm a mess and I'm a disaster. And my sister shows up for me as usual. And I believe that God gives you angels on earth, and she is it.
You are now listening to the Arab is Me podcast.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to all the followers of Arab is Me, the podcast that always is preaching that being an Arab is not just about where you're from, it's about who you are. And there's nobody who would co-sign that thought more than our guest today, Wissam, aka Sam Ghanem, who is a chief marketing officer, founder, also a comedian. She's got over 24 years of experience as a brand strategist. So I have to be on my game today because she's going to tell me that slip up's going to affect your brand site. So make sure you correct yourself. But no, she's an expert in her field. She's really been helping companies align a lot of their messaging, marketing, business systems, not just companies, but also individuals and how they can brand themselves. I know she's done that with several comedians not named Saeed Durrah. So if I make any mistakes, it's because I haven't gone through the class yet. But she's helped Mercedes-Benz, Carrier, Thermo Fisher, so many more. She's also got a master's, mashallah. I'm going to keep saying mashallah. Mashallah, a master's in international business administration. Mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. Sam, I don't want you like falling and tripping down some steps later because somebody who was watching the show was just like, I've always wanted one of those. And then hasad hits. So she's also a stand-up comedian. She has really been an amazing person for me to watch and kind of study. And so even though that was about a 45-minute introduction, Sam, I hope it's okay. And I want to welcome you tfaddali to Arab is Me. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm covered bilayan, so we're good. It's
Okay.
fine. No problem.
Okay. Great. Awesome. Well, that's a good sign. I appreciate you being here, Sam. And to be honest, I start nearly every podcast, especially if it's somebody who I haven't necessarily sat down and had a bite to eat with before. I always start with asking, if you right now were sitting down, you entered my home or I entered your home, whatever it is, and we're looking at the spread, we're looking at the table. I need to know, because you're from Florida. I need to make sure Florida doesn't think different. Okay. What's on the table? What are we eating? Tell me what's on the table.
So Florida does think different if you're a child of my mom, who's a
Okay.
chef and a caterer and ruined me for life. So definitely hummus, and you scoop towards you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, ورق عنب, كبة بالصينية. We also cook with West African influence, so jollof rice with chicken,
Okay.
fattoush, like the best fattoush in the world.
Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
if you feel like there's too much pomegranate, there's not enough.
Okay.
Oh, an extra pita, extra. What
Okay.
else? What else? Oh,
Is
ملوخية.
kullu hada, this is all on the
It's all on
table.
the table, and mjadda.
Hey, we're ready. We're ready, friends.
Honestly, I wore elastic pants for this episode, so this is good.
Okay. Good. That's very good news. And I'm big fans of elastic pants, and I'm big fans of everything that you just mentioned. I'm even a big fan of Florida as well. Headed down there. I'm not gonna get into their politics, Sam, but other
Okay.
than that, like mashallah, I love Florida. I love going down there, and so I want to also start off because you were one of the first ones who kind of sent us an inbox when we first were getting ready to launch. You sent messages and you were commenting. You were like, "Yes, this is what we need." And so I want to start there, honestly, especially for somebody with your background, mashallah, and your expertise. When I saw that, and I was just like, "Oh, maybe we did something right. Maybe this is a good thing. What's going on?" So, what was in that comment, or what was in that feeling that you got when you saw this podcast?
So the degree and the sheer level of love and authenticity that goes into every one of those dishes that I just literally described, and now I want like an unwavering amount of all of them, is that. And I felt like you were talking to me. I've been having this dialogue within myself. I'm in my early 40s. I'm the first generation born in America with a lot of that East-West influence. I used to resist a lot of our Eastern influence as a child. And I find myself leaning so heavily in, and this need to feel seen, heard, and understood. And all the things that I used to think made us quirky or different or weird, I find to be not only necessary, but delicious and sexy. And the world needs more of it. And so when I saw it, I was like, if I had a doppelganger that was a grown man, I think this is him. And I couldn't, like, I literally was coming out of my skin. To the point that I was sending, I told you I had some people to connect you with, and I was sending it to them. And I'm like, you guys, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
We've literally talked about this. And I feel like within our generation too, whether it's up and coming TV shows, representation, comedians, or quite frankly, just a voice, right?
Yeah.
And from a brand perspective, a brand is a motor in your car.
Yeah.
And the authenticity, like, when there's a squeaky wheel, and you just came out of the gate and we're like, hi, this is me. And by the way, this is us. And it's what makes it perfect is it's imperfect. What makes it authentic is it's so freaking honest. It didn't feel performative at all. And I don't know, I don't like too many Lebanese or Arabic soap operas, right? So it's like, there's no acting here. I'm like, this is really raw and authentic. And I told you when you came on, I'm like, I feel like I know you already. So it was that. And if that can translate through a screen, you're on brand.
Well, alhamdulillah.
That's his first test.
I appreciate that. And I've always, even in my performance, I'm making myself the guest at this point, right? Because I'm talking about myself. But if my mom was here, it would only be about me. So I'm gonna.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mom. That's my mom's method. She's like, back to Saeed. He's my son, mashallah. So, but whenever I've performed, I would say that if I somehow were to collect all the feedback I've ever gotten off stage and I were to kind of rank them and put them in order on what I hear the most often, that is what I tend to hear, which is like, there's something like real that's there, that's authentic. And I was like, well, I'm not actually trying to be something. I think that's maybe what you're feeling. Like when I talk about, I used to have this joke, Sam, where I was I basically was saying that, I had this dream where Selma Hayek was kind of hanging on this rope, holding this rope from a cliff. And so I was just like, oh my God, and the rope was on fire. And this is Selma Hayek. So when I'm having this dream in my 20s, Selma Hayek was like the thing, right? Alhamdulillah, I'm married now. Hopefully the electricity doesn't go off while I'm saying this. My wife turned it off. But this was the whole joke, was that she's holding this burning rope and she's yelling and she's like, Saeed, please help me. Please help me. I'm like, how am I supposed to help you? And she goes, there's a bucket. Just throw it on so that the rope doesn't burn. Just throw it. And I said, okay. And I grabbed the bucket. And just as I'm about to throw it, I realize it's not water. It's Leban Mensef. And so I look into the bucket and I look at Selma and I look back at the bucket and I have to say to myself, throwing this lemon would be haram because it's meant to be consumed, and Allah yirhamha, Selma, in that dream, she didn't make it. And so I joke with people about like, this is authentic to me. Obviously, I tell it different when I'm on the stage, more theatrics and probably a better punchline. But that's the point, is that like I look at things like our culture, our just as a whole, but our food, our music. We just had somebody on the podcast, which will be coming out soon, who was showing us tatriz and how people are the whole story behind that. So. I'm glad you kind of got a vibe of that, because that's honestly the whole point of the podcast. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. And the truth of the matter is that secret sauce, you can't actually turn it off. So when it's performative, you can turn it on. When you are authentically authentic, you don't even actually have the ability to turn it off.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I'm described in a similar fashion. And sometimes I think also too, as a child, I pushed away from it because it wasn't what the world mirrored back.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to turn it off except to attempt to perform or personify this other thing. And
Yeah.
the older I get, like all cultures are beautiful. But when you talk about feeling at home, I think that we have this, and my hope is that anyone feels this way about their native country and their lineage. But it's literally a coming home. Like Akletna, my mom's house, the kitchen, and my mom's room. Like
Yeah.
those two specific places, I don't really care what else is going on in the world.
Yeah.
As grown as I am now, I literally walk in her room and I
Yeah.
feel a sense of peace. I walk in the kitchen, nobody sits. Behind everybody, we're just eating. And you don't have your own plate. This is
Yeah.
community plates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why when you go to some of those Italian restaurants that do like family style, and they're like, we do it different here. And I was like, different from who, Yani? I don't
It was
like,
our idea anyways.
yeah, like we've been down for this for a while. Did you know actually the original, from what I understand, the original multi-course meal, appetizer, dinner, the whole thing was actually created in Spain by Arabs. Did you know
I
that?
mean, I didn't know. And even if I didn't fact check it, much like an Arab, I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. No, and in fact, it was my cousin.
The truth
So
is, what we're saying is you're welcome to the world.
yeah. So alhamdulillah. But I wanna dig a little bit into kind of what your bloodlines are. I think you have a Lebanese background, but tell me a little bit about kind of where you're from, and your family is from, and we can start there.
Allegedly, no, I'm kidding. We are Lebanese. Both of my parents are Lebanese. When I learned that they had the same last name, I had a lot of explanations around why we are an extra special bunch.
Yeah.
Of 4 girls.
Wow.
So yeah, you can absolutely guarantee that they're out of their minds. And my dad, you're welcome. It's kind of your fault. But in any case, we are Lebanese. I'm first generation born here, born in South Florida. I was the attempt at a boy, and I can't be any more clear today. I am not. I don't
Yeah.
identify as anything but a woman.
Okay. All
And
right.
even though my name is a unisex name, both of them, we Sam or Sam, it's just confusing for people.
Yeah.
My parents immigrated from Sierra Leone, West Africa, where their parents respectively had businesses.
Wow.
So there was a lot of influence culturally in terms of food and so forth. And I call my siblings the OG African Americans. I'm like, you guys were born there. I was just born here.
Yeah.
And so they settled in Boca Raton, Florida, and they never left.
Wow.
They literally never left.
Wow.
So that was close to 50 years ago.
Wow. So I know the work that you do is very much trying to kind of, help people tell their story. I'm very oversimplifying this right now, but kind of helping that story emerge and understanding like that connection. I know you say like almost that magnetic connection. And so my question for you is, when did you and have you kind of figured out your own story as it relates to your Arab identity?
Very much so. And I'll give it to my dad, Min Wara al-Baba, for sure. And I'll be honest, it's cool to be in this place in life where you can honestly reflect and look at your parents as people.
Yeah.
And now there's mad respect because they're just people. And I don't mean just people. I mean, it's liberating actually to the relationship to not look at them as these immortal, perfect beings, right? My dad, when they immigrated here, he owned a manufacturing company in textiles, and I am a manufacturer. And my brain is very engineering because stereotypes, and not the wife or the mom or the doctor or the lawyer. So here I am. And I am completely clear on my story in the sense of what makes me uniquely and intrinsically me. And it has so much to do with our culture. It has so much to do with the way that we see the world in endless possibility. Something that I remember as a kid that was so crazy to me that I remember this, because we did not grow up in an ideal environment. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. These people crushed it. They came here, they didn't know anything, and they were very successful back home, but they came here for the education system.
Right.
So let's assume we had an education system back home. I probably wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be having fun, but nonetheless, they'd have figured it out.
Right.
I looked at my mom as a kid, and I remember this very clear thought that the house could have been in proverbial fire. You have 4 kids. She's my dad's right hand. He's a serial entrepreneur like me. We can't turn it off, or I'm like him. And it didn't matter because come 2:00, المرأة قاعدة and she's having coffee, and to hell with all of you. And I thought to myself, it's such an interesting metaphor for particular frameworks and foundational things that keep us grounded as people. It's not that you're ignoring something that's happening or that has happened. It's that you're giving respect to presence. I say the same thing about them praying. When I look at how they pray and they're so devout, it's a meditative practice. 5 times a day, no matter what's happening in the world, it doesn't matter. It's literally meditation. And so as part of my own story, it's no longer denying what makes me intrinsically and uniquely me. It's understanding that nahna, human beings, period, we are one of one. There's not another you. I don't care. My sisters are twins. It does not matter. They are them. You and I could have the identical resume. And the thing that I think is so programmed and ingrained in me as society, and I mean this as a species, we've done more with less, but there are particular things you're just born with. And I do believe that that's that nature nurture conversation. And in our bloodline, we don't know how to fail. We only know how to fail forward. My dad was a walking example. I'm talking building trillions upon trillions of masses of dollars for others, multi-patents in the United States. And if this man fell 100 times, he got up 101.
Yeah.
Right? He's 75. Today's his birthday. He's authored books. Yeah, he's authored many books. He speaks multiple languages. And it's like, if you learn anything in my story, it's like, it is happening for you. There's no way God puts us through something in vain. And we're here as people to gather up all of our skills and build community. Life is a team sport.
Yeah.
And I feel so firmly grounded in my story as a woman, as a Muslim woman, as an entrepreneur, as a gatherer. And it's interesting, and I appreciate the conversation so much because I'm not too arrogant or egotistical to admit that not but 15 years ago, maybe, I would have felt a lot of resistance to that because I wanted to be different. I already am different, right? And I don't know different from what. I had this like narrative in my mind. And surely the world has done a great job at allowing us to look and go, but that's not really true. That's not, we were talking about TV shows. The Mo Show, Rami, you're looking and seeing a depiction of us and going, yeah, finally. And that's me born here. So I can't even imagine what it's like, let's say for my sisters who came here when they were 7, right? Yeah. But for me, understanding our roots, the roots of our food, our music, the 6th and 7th sense, the spiritual sense, I'm very anchored in who that is and what that role, what all those things play in terms of a role in my life. And my brand as a human being, as a person, you're a brand.
Yeah.
So I feel very deeply connected to who I am in our lineage today. And it's no surprise that, again, the world could have been on fire. And if nothing in the world was guaranteed, those meals in that kitchen were guaranteed. Like we were selling our lunches as kids because entrepreneurship is in our blood. We would bring our lunch to school and sell it. So yeah, it's very much a part of me.
Not everybody had lunch left over to sell. I'm just putting it out there, Sam. And I finished it on the bus on the way to school. Guaranteed. My mom would put me breakfast or whatever, and then she'd be like, here's your lunch on the way to school. Almost every time I ate it.
Do you know that when I went away, I went to college locally, but I didn't live with my parents. And my aunt is an American woman. And she said to me one day, I was really sad and I was crying. And she was like, do you miss your mom? And I was like, I woke up and I could smell sfiha.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like, what's my love language? Food.
Yeah. But and you know, to that point, here's a very quick crazy story. By very quick, I mean, I hope you don't have plans tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. Arab style story. But no, my niece, who had to have a liver transplant, had cancer when she was very young age. We're talking, 8, 9, 10 age, and so she was in the hospital and she was in intensive care. And in the intensive care unit, they had this like kind of fridge that they used for all the medications that needed to be refrigerated, and they could not get her to eat. But ironically, the only thing, I shouldn't even say ironically, like this should be, I'm not surprised actually in any way. The only thing that she would want to eat is lebana with olives in it. And
Yeah.
so my mother made the lebana from scratch, put the olives in it, and
Medication.
because it was the only thing she could eat, the nurses kept it in the medication fridge. So I was telling everyone at the time, I was like, you do realize this big major hospital has lebana in their medication fridge.
It is
Uh, because she felt like this is home. This is the flavor I'll eat. I don't want all this stuff that you have. And the only thing she was willing to eat was that lebana.
so funny. My aunt, we make a ridiculous amount of fun of her. Anywhere in the world she is, inshallah, she's on a plane to Dubai. It doesn't matter where she is. You open her luggage, she has pre-made manouche, za'atar sandwiches.
Oh yeah.
Pre-made. And the best part is the crackhead foil.
Yeah.
Like, put it in a Ziploc bag, at least kind of like a little bit modernize yourself. No.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what would be killer is if you took it out with a spoon just for effect and you just had foil in a spoon. I'm like, this is a really bad look. And with your name, it's not going to go over very well.
Hey, but this is what we do. If they have any
Unapologetic.
problem. Yeah. Like the old joke.
See our mom. That's what it is.
Like the old joke I used to tell, where I would tell people, like, my mom would always get busted for the olive oil, and she would tell them it was baby oil, and they'd be like, "What baby?" She's like, "It was a Palestinian baby, Yanni. What am I gonna tell you? This is the oil that we use." So, like, I'm with you 100%, on that. But I know that anytime Arab go from point A to point B, it's never a straight line, shall we say. There's always this stop and these details and these things. But a lot of times when we talk about, even when our families would talk about, like, going back home, quote unquote, it was always this struggle. And so I almost want to contrast that a little bit. And I feel like in listening about, to you speak on various different, podcasts and things like that, I almost feel like you're very much the same, in that there was a time, as you said, where, like, your Arab identity maybe was something that whether it was suppressed, or whether you pushed it to the side, or whether it just wasn't coming out. And you also had to kind of like find your way, and you zigged and zagged until you got to a point where that was fully back on the table. And so I was kind of curious if you would be willing to kind of tell some of the listeners a little bit of what those zigs and zags were that kind of got you to this point. Because quite honestly, just like listening to my grandparents when they would tell stories where I would say, it's hard to believe you made it, except for the fact you're an Arab. Like, there was no option B. So can you tell us a little bit about that? And I'm just going to shut up and kind of let you talk, because you do have an amazing kind of story of resilience in your own life, and I'd love to hear more. For
sure. And I promise not to bore you.
No, it's never boring.
That I was going to say, and you might need a drink, but we don't do that. So, it kind of started out for me in an interesting fashion. Born into this really beautiful, colorful, very, very active, vivacious family who was clearly struggling with assimilating here. And they tried their best with what they had, and it looked like abuse. And unfortunately, I ran away from home when I was 14, and my great uncle Has, Allah yarhamu, who's definitely with me, saved my life. And we have repaired relationships today, alhamdulillah. And a lot of these things had to happen for us to then repair. So I start my life in this jarring way, essentially. And I developed this necessity to overachieve, over-deliver, have success. 6 figures by the time I'm 19, all this stuff. And 6 figures by the time you're 19. Now you're like, yeah, that was yesterday. But, 20 something years ago, it's something. And this notion of I'm going to be a doctor, I wanted to be an obstetrician. Why? Because I was told to, and I love babies, but am I going to deliver them? Maybe. Except I forgot. I don't have any support. I have to go work 17 jobs because I'm Lebanese. So everything started in that stereotypical fashion, and I learned a lot along the way, but it looked like a lot of external outward success. Building the house with the right paint color, but the inside is shit, kind of. And I didn't know this until I knew it. And the way I learned was, remember, I had parents who never gave up. And it is because they're Lebanese, because I don't have another explanation. They are, resilience is their blood type, right? Ours.
Yep.
And I also believe there was this narrative about hard work. And I've never seen people work harder. I mean, I also have to say, we never went without. So to have the dichotomy of living and seeing the outside, and these children are well-spoken and educated and well-fed and well-dressed, and alhamdulillah, from the everything's great, but on the inside, unfortunately, we're projecting a reality that my parents never outgrew or healed from in their own life. And so then they bring it to a foreign country. So I run away. My great uncle shows up for me in every sense of the word. He was the mom, the dad, the cousin, the spiritual leader. He was everything for me. He is everything for me. And I started performing lots of jobs in the sense of outward success, and performing in the sense of like, I just figured it out. And I kind of said yes 100 times until I eventually got good at whatever it was I said I could do. And I ended up with a couple business degrees and running companies. I was with the same company for 19 years. We more than 3x in the time I was there because of the team, of course, and our combined efforts. And again, running that race, meeting a man who I was engaged to and then calling off the wedding because I find out he has 3 different identities, more trauma, and I'm outworking myself. I'm just like, go to work, go to work, go to work, keep going to work. And I had this idea that if hard work has to hurt, and if you're not in pain, then you're not working hard enough. I just had this thing and this whole idea of like how diamonds are made and everything's under pressure and you're the pressure cooker and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. And I'm watching what looks like small fires around me. My sisters, everyone's trying, but like everyone's literally on fire. And my fire looked, or the greatest fire looked like, I cancel the wedding. I go into even more outward performance mode. I'm crushing goals. I'm getting my master's. I'm doing all these things. And then I decide to start building my portfolio of businesses. I find a promotional marketing company to add to the food and beverage printing company I had already started. I do all of my due diligence. My sister says, don't do it. I was like, why? I said I would. Here's the paperwork. This is the agreement. I said I would. I have to do it. That's my word. And it turns out the guy misrepresented the financials. And so I bought a sham. I bought a smoke and mirrors. I literally bought nothing. It was fake. And I lost everything. I lost the building itself, my place, my relationship, became an alcoholic. My life completely transformed when I literally heard God. And I'm not religious by any stretch of the imagination, but I am surely spiritual. And I know what my home is. And I was in a very, 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 very bad state. And for context, me, an addict, how? I didn't grow up around that. How is that possible? We don't drink, we don't smoke, how?
Right.
Apparently. And you have this kind of notion too, you're Americanized. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. I didn't have a choice. I'm here. I was born here. This is what it is. And I heard God one day teach me how to treat myself. And he gave me a comparison. I heard literally the words, if you think you're a burden on your mom and your sister, what if you treated yourself like you were them? And I fell to my knees. I literally fell to my knees. It's what my TED Talk is about. Me and 700 square feet of my apartment. And I'm a mess and I'm a disaster. And my sister shows up for me as usual. I believe that God gives you angels on earth, and she is it. And I rehab myself. I avoid bankruptcy, drug rehab, and therapy. I get the business out of the red in 91 days. I document everything I did. I document everything I didn't do. I read insane books. Now we call it eating books. I ate the actual books.
Yeah.
Put into Measure Daily, Atomic Habits, How to Build a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I did the 75 Hard Challenge, David Goggins style, for a year. I became militant and I got quite bored with my life. And I encourage anyone listening to get bored. You will find exponential growth in the boring, exponential growth in putting in the reps, exponential growth in committing to yourself. And so today, I'm proud to say that we're not only out of the red, we're very much in the black. I was able to relocate in February to Orlando to build a second division. Comedy saved my life because as a culture, we are hilarious people. And if I survived and I'm able to tell the story, then I'm going to just report the news. And when my family gets mad, I just blame them like any other Arab. I'm like, this is your fault. I take no responsibility.
Yeah.
We laugh about all of it. It's only halfway true, maybe 80% true. And so now I feel this deep, deep desire that if Allah spared me and forced me and guided me through these paths, fire after another, and I live to tell it, then who am I to keep it? Number one. Number two, it's like a meal. We don't eat alone, right? We don't eat alone. We gather people and we share dishes. Nahna, we are meza, right? This is how we eat. And in my life is by design that way. And I get by with a lot of help from my friends.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's, hopefully this makes sense. When you say comedy kind of helped save your life,
Literally, not kinda.
Was it the stage, the mic, or the audience?
Can I tell you what it really was that gave me the answer is all of them? The company that I bought, there was a client who was a comedy production company who did pop-ups. And the day I was leaving, I shit you not, a guy came and told me I need a crane to remove my equipment. And I said, a crane? I said, I'll disassemble it myself. Okay. Next thing I know, some guy walks in. He looks like a Lebanese Al Pacino. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, who is this guy? And I'm pissed. I'm like, no appointment. He's chewing gum and he's on the phone. I'm like, this one a guy? Like, are you crazy? And it turns out he's the owner of this comedy production company. He becomes the big brother I never knew I needed. And he signs me up for a comedy workshop and I didn't even know. Wow. So the space it created, that all of a sudden I was the least crazy person in the room, because you go to a comedy workshop for 2 years straight every Sunday, you hear some crazy shit. All of a sudden, I'm the most sane person in the room. We're not doing too bad. That's number one. Okay. They tell you comparison is the thief of joy. I was like, I beg your pardon. Go there. You'll be like, we're doing great. Everyone's fine. She's amazing, right? Like, you're okay. And then I realized, if all I do is get through this week, document all the crazy things, rant in my car, and come to this class and just report it, and I get it out of my body, great. Now, if I actually find the funny, that means I'm a little further away from the thing that harmed me, because I can laugh about it now. Yeah. Then I created this process of, all your only job to do is be an observer and bring the news back to class and live your life one day at a time. Class was every Sunday. I got lucky because the first comedy workshop I took, the instructor was also a therapist, a very comedian, but also a therapist. And I was like, Haidam and Allah, because this one was like, David was like, we need to spare it. This one's not going to make it. And he was right.
That's like conflict of interest or something.
As a matter of fact, well, the reality is actually that I thought, and he's hilarious. He makes a joke about how he had to quit being a therapist because he couldn't handle the crying. And sometimes the patients cried too. Oh, so, wow. Right. His name is Mike Pansika. He's great. So David Sadaka was my entry point to comedy. Now, your question was it the stage, the audience, or
the mic?
The mic. So it's funny. If you can believe it, when I was 2 years old, I had a trauma response and I stopped talking. Obviously, it didn't stick, right? Because now, and I found the connection to myself as probably my greatest tool, because I was a person who said a lot of things, meaning words came out of my mouth. But what was the connection to the words? I don't know. And I'm saying this to you because I'm not too egotistical to admit, see, I was performing most of my life, that standard of excellence, that outward success. Yeah. I was doing what the calls to action told me to do. I had no choice. That comedy was the first thing that allowed me to meet me. Like, I didn't give a shit if you laughed. I'm laughing. The fact that I didn't drink that day. I came to class with my news from the week to report to you. Mm-hmm. I got on the stage and I just blurted all my bullshit out. I already won. It didn't matter what happened at that point. But now you're going to teach me how to actually assemble this in a way. And I'm a writer at heart. I build stories for companies. It's not surprising that I'm a speaker, but who would have thought this would have come to my life then? Yeah. Right? And it's funny because the other thing I realized was I come from a funny household. Again, we're Arab, but I never used to laugh. I even say my resting bitch face is in recovery. I'm like, it's good now. I'm like, all I do is laugh. It's great. But so it was really the connection to myself that the environment, which was the mic and the stage and the audience, afforded me. But the first step was it invited me to me. Like if I never took my material to a show and all I did was go to class, I was going to therapy 3 hours a week, basically. That was my class, 3 hours. Yeah. And so to me, the relationship, it also is so interesting to me. I didn't do this on purpose. This was obviously all God. I've never not been sober in my comedy career. So on one hand, you also see comedy and you see comedians can be very hurt people. Robin Williams is my idol. I think he's like my uncle. I feel like he raised me. And so there's this idea of the clown, the proverbial clown, and you make other, and then I thought, if hurt people, heal people can heal people too. And if you look at it that way, like what if I could represent one of the most healed comedians? And I don't mean, listen, you guys are seasoned. I'm a child in comedy, but I'm intending to put the reps in because it saved my life. What becomes of it is up to God, but I'm going to show up. Right. And I say this to say it's conversations like this that are so healing. It's platforms like this that are so healing. And that's not a discriminatory thing. That's for any human being. But I feel very seen in this environment. And I also wonder, in my career, when people find out that comedy is a part of it, first they find out I'm a woman because they see Sam Ghanem and they're like, oh, big heady man, he's coming. And I'm like, okay, sorry to disappoint. Like, this is the hair I have, And two, and Sam Ghanem makes it worse. They're like, I don't know. If you Google me, it's very confusing. And then they find out that comedy is a huge part of my life and they're not even sure how to receive it, but it's such a cool icebreaker. So to be a Lebanese Muslim female comedian as part of my story is something I could have never even conceived, to not only have the confidence to do, but to have the community to support me. And I'm doing this on a minuscule scale. Nobody knows who the hell I am yet. Right.
Right. But if I can chime in on that, I think that the world has gotten to a point where, like, the whatever it is that our comedy produces in the form of followers, like, subscribe, all that stuff, oftentimes gets people to kind of like shrink their impact because they feel like, oh, well, as you said, the comparison being, the thief of joy and all those good things. Like, there are times where somebody will say, well, this comedian, must be this or must be that, or has a bigger this or has a bigger that in terms of impact or platform. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who have huge followings online. And when you talk to them, they will tell you, I still haven't really performed me yet. I still feel like I'm holding back. And so I will just say to your point, you mentioned, is that don't ever get lost into this idea that another comedian that you're speaking with has just done quote unquote more or has been there more. Because if you give an authentic performance once and they're still putting on a performance of something that they're trying to show, that they're trying to make the audience think they are, I would argue in a lot of those cases, your ultimate self ROI and is larger. And you're doing more. I've got a lot of comedian friends who are doing amazing things, huge shows, movies, TV, but like, I still don't ever look at it as like they made it and I didn't, and I lost the race, or I'm behind, or because what I ultimately wanted out of it was just, to make a few people laugh in the audience and then go home. And in fact, at times I thought I was a broken comedian because I was like, wait, I'm not getting on stage to kind of like flesh something out or to get through something. I'm really just getting on stage because I authentically just want people to hear these funny stories so that they learn to love us more. And I'm talking about preaching to us, not even like fill up a comedy club with white people and hope at the end they go, well, maybe the Arabs aren't so bad. That's nice. Okay. But that's not my goal.
Right.
My honest goal is really to get some of the younger generation of Arabs to go, I've been dissing my mom and dad and my uncle and all these people for so long. Come to figure out they're the winners. They're the ones who have kind of been there, done that. Just simply by me being here right now is a victory for my parents. Right. So, I just wanted to throw that out there because sometimes that can get lost when we get on the stage and we do get to a point where we're thinking like, as you said, what I've done is so minuscule. Okay, well, what if there's that one person who heard that one amazing joke from yours and they come back and they say, wow, Wissam put that in perspective for me, or when she said that thing, it made me laugh. That one of my first shows I ever did, Sam, a lady came to me and she said, and I don't make this up. I remember I was in, I believe, Charlotte, North Carolina. She came to me, one of my first shows, and this is when I would perform and I'd be like, yeah, that wasn't good. Even if the audience thought it was, I would think it wasn't. I was my own worst critic. This lady came to me and said that her son had been in an auto accident several weeks prior. She had spent every waking moment holding his hand. He was like in a coma, and it was just a really bad situation. And her friends kept trying to get her away from the hospital for a moment to just breathe because they felt she needed it. She refused until she said, for whatever reason, they said that you were going to come and you were performing. And I thought maybe the comedian will be funny. And she said, because of you, I'm so glad I left, to at least breathe and to feel good and laugh, because I haven't done that in several months. And now I can go back and just hope he wakes up so I can tell him about the jokes he said. So you can't tell me for 1 second that what I'm doing is less than anyone else, because for her, I'm Eddie Murphy, I'm Richard Pryor, I'm, as you mentioned, I'm George Carlin that day, I'm all these people to her. So I think sometimes the reason I'm even bringing that up, not to go on another long tangent here, but the bringing up, and I would love your thoughts on this, is sometimes people don't start the journey because they feel like whatever they see on social media or whatever they see online is unattainable. And that seems like such a long journey. So I'm not even going to step outside my door. And I'm sure you yourself will look at the things you've accomplished in your life. And if you had to go back there, you may look and be like, I have to do that, all that, knowing what you have done. Do you think if you were to go back to where you were before all of these things started coming together, and you knew all the work that had to go into it that you've just done and you continue to accomplish, would you have still run out that door and done it? Or would you actually pause for a second and go, that's a lot?
So to go back for a second, and I would so receive your advice because you have the lived experience, and that's more what I mean. So to me, I never shy away, and I also blame our culture. We never shy away from the hard work. I don't blame, I embrace it now. Like, we already knew. The movie Boss Baby, she was born for baby, she was born for management. I was born for management. I came off the conveyor in a blazer. Let's go. Like, that's my life, right? And for me, when I think about the amount of space I've taken up in this particular arena, this particular art that is comedy, it feels like I'm certainly still with my training wheels when I look at the length of time, and that 10,000 hours makes an expert philosophy. Sure. And I do want to respect that because, and it's so funny that you talk about Eddie Murphy, not shocking that he is the GOAT, but like, you're never not working in your craft. You're never not putting the reps in. That's why I bring up the systems of the Atomic Habits and Building a Story Brand and David Goggins' 75 Hard. Some of us need that militant bumper to keep us together. In my case, and it's incredibly sobering reality, and I'm very clear about it, right? I absolutely can see why anybody objectively looks at anyone and goes, unless I know I can get that far, I'm not even going to try. Right. But the reality is, you could get, thousands upon hundreds of thousands of miles further. The only thing is your very first step, and that's in anything, is you just have to start. In branding, if you really want to get back to the thing that gets me out of bed, the most powerful word of the Just Do It tagline of the lifestyle brand that is Nike is not do, and it is not it. It is just. Just start. Just. There is no try. Do. Just start. Just pick up the phone and speak it out loud. You've literally spoken this into your reality. And the thing is, it's called spelling, because when you speak, you cast a spell.
Yeah.
That's the truth. So the thing in my romanticizing about comedy is, I'm just documenting my life and it's honest. And if I had to go back and change anything, I have to tell you that I would change nothing, because the trade-off is BS. There's no way I could only take out one detail. I'd have to take out a bunch, and it's that domino game. And I'll say this, I never thought I would be the person that says for the most of my life I was performing. I never thought it, because nobody would have thought it. The same way nobody thought, they're like, you have an addiction? And I'm like, I even pretended then. I make a joke. I'm like, I tried to be good at drugs and alcohol. I'm not good. I had to quit. I'm right? But the truth is, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I can't gamble anything in or out in my life story because I wouldn't be in the most aligned, authentic space that I am here today. And it's not cliche, it's the truth. Because when I tried to go back and work around something or avoid it or skip a step, I got skipped.
Yeah.
So I won't ever shy away from the reality that you do have to put the reps in and have lived experience and fall on your face. But when you fall on your face, when you fail forward, just like the book says.
Right.
Typically, you don't fall back, you fall forward.
Right.
Right. And so, unfortunately, I literally speaking have cracked my face open a bunch of times falling forward. For me, if anybody ever needed the encouragement to just start whatever is on their heart, it is not placed inside of you because it's bigger than you. If the idea is inside of you, it's because it is of you.
Yeah.
And for me, all of our life, all of the turmoil and all of the blessings, just all of the experience is part of our developmental journey, and that I believe is shaping us to become the resource we needed. So if God's going to take my voice when I'm 2 because of a trauma response, he's going to give me back a voice that isn't necessarily louder, but it's more impactful. It's kind of a joke that I'm monotone, and I used to try to work around it. I'm not so monotone now because I have had some training, but I'm talking some dry eyes guy stuff.
Yeah.
My comedy coaches would say to me, no, keep it. It's going to work. It's going to work for you. And I'm thinking, well, great, because I don't know how to turn it off. Now I can inflect a bit better. But it's even just to say the things that make you uniquely you're by design.
Right.
I also would have smacked the shit out of me 5 years ago if I heard the words that were coming out of my mouth. So I just want to be really authentic in saying that. Like I hear myself, I'm like, you're everything you said you'd never be.
Yeah, but to your point, and I think that's really powerful about the of just do it. I even think Islamically we say that the most powerful word is ikra, which is read, right?
Yep.
It wasn't memorize, it wasn't preach, it wasn't even learn necessarily. It was just read, just read.
And saying they're verbs. Sorry to cut you off. They're verbs. They're actions.
Right.
That's something that you have to physically put into action.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're energy. Like you can't just sit stagnant.
Yeah. When you go on stage, whether it be to speak or let's remove even the stage. When you're in a position where you are about to be listened to, whether that be public speaking, business meeting, whatever it is. You had mentioned identities of like, hey, I'm a woman, I'm a Muslim, I'm Lebanese. Which one do you most kind of feel in that moment, and you kind of potentially carry, if you do it all, baggage with you? Because I find that a lot of the especially artists and things that I speak to, they will tell me it's kind of hard because and then they start with culture, or they start with religion, or they start with saying they're a woman, and then they're like, and I'm all three, and I'm this, and it's hard. So for those that are listening out there, and with all of your knowledge and everything that you've learned and everything you're now teaching, do you yourself have those moments where you feel like I'm a little too Arab for this, or I'm not Arab enough for this, or I'm a little too Muslim for this, or I'm not Muslim enough? Like, do you have those thoughts in your head? And what do you do to kind of either put those to the side or, grab a hold of them and kind of ride them wherever they take you?
No. So I'll tell you this, that which we resist persists. So if I'm too much, I got to turn it down. It would be like when I used to straighten my hair. It's too curly. It's too ethnic. I used to be told, this is the dumbest shit, it's too sexy. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, by the way. But also, I just woke up and this shit is in my face and it looks like I got electrocuted, and that's too much for you. I have to carry this, but it's too much for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would 3 hours. I'm not lying. 3 hours I would spend ironing my hair. That which you resist persists. And it's the same thing in addiction. Today, I don't feel too much or not enough. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because I show up as a neutral charge. Do I tap into any of those particular buckets when I need a little something? Yeah. I actually allow it to turn me up instead of turn me down. But when I used to think this way, by way of either changing my appearance, going by Sam since I'm 15 years old because Sam was too complex,
Mm.
And my siblings call me Wissam or other very inappropriate nicknames. Or my friends from second grade call me Wissam, and it warms my heart because I know then you really know me, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Whether that happens as I'm younger, I didn't have the emotional maturity. I certainly didn't have the spiritual muscle at all. And I didn't have the embracing of who I am in my core. So I find myself moving backwards, not backwards, but back home, I should say, to a space of total authenticity. So no, I don't feel that being a Lebanese Muslim woman at 42 and a half years old living in America, in Florida, has any too muchism around it. But
Yeah.
when I used to try to tone it down, it's like when you try to shove a suitcase too much and you have to sit on it to zip it and all the shit's coming out of the side,
Yeah.
right? You're
Yeah.
trying to submerge this thing. And the more you try to snuff it, the more it wants to come out, right? Try to hold a ball like a ball under the water. Eventually, it's just going to blow up. So today, no. And for anyone that's listening, I would say the thing that you've been told is too much your whole life, I would really encourage you to so vivaciously tap into it, because I say this with a lot of respect. We project all day long. We project good and we project not so good. And oftentimes the narrative that we've probably co-written, by the way, it's very easy to blame others. I was co-writing my newsletter and subscribing to that shit on the daily. Try to leverage the thing that makes you weird or different and tap into it, because if there's no mistake. So if you're quirky, lean into it. If you're too curly, lean into it. If it's too straight, lean into it. If it's too gay, lean into it. Lean into whatever the thing is. And it's cliche as hell, but eventually you'll get uncomfortable enough leaning so far into that thing that it becomes your norm. People misjudge who I am, where I'm from all the time, and I lean into it very hard. They give me, I love the Elaine from Seinfeld reference. I'm obsessed. I don't dance like her. Okay. Sometimes I relate more to George, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm like obsessed with him. I have a cousin who looks like Kramer. Okay. So like, it's so good, but I used to resist those things. So I don't feel too many of the too much isms around those things. And I really would just encourage anybody, male or female or anything, to tap into the thing that makes you feel you're too much of. And probably that secret sauce is right in there. You've just spent so much time resisting it.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who are listening, to the show, or even coming on as guests, and a lot of them are afraid to put themselves out there because the words "put yourself out there" inherently feels to a lot of Arab as like this place where either the FBI lives or somebody who's gonna, somebody's gonna come at you, or somebody's gonna get you or steal your kids or whatever. And so people oftentimes like, well, I don't really put myself out there. And it's become almost a proud thing for some people to say. And sometimes it drives me crazy because I'm like, you're changing the definition of putting yourself out there to have a negative connotation. So what do you say to people out there who are either going to start their new jewelry business, or just want to speak, or just want to write poetry, or honestly just want to be an amazing mom or dad, and want to just, speak to the world, and want to get their opinions out there and have people hear their thoughts? What would you say to those people who have that fear, if we want to call it that, of, quote, putting themselves out there as someone who has so much experience around personal brand and kind of going at it?
The truest thing I could say, and this was what got me clear. First and foremost, resisting it took me to the dark side, literally speaking. I had zero will to live. I was very much an addict. And I was not an addict that you see on TV. I was the everyday functioning. I went to work. I worked harder than everybody else, and I somehow paid my bills. Okay. The thing that you're resisting, to have an honest conversation with yourself, but ask yourself a couple questions as if you're someone else. So if I were talking to you as a friend and you were feeling stuck and you were like, I honestly am petrified. I am paralyzed in my analysis of all the horrendous things that could happen if I just started X. Because if I'm talking to me like a friend, I'm going to be very objective. I'm going to be a beautiful, healthy mirror for my friend. And I'm going to honestly go, let's walk through the things that actually could go wrong, that would be so dangerous, that would perhaps end your life if you started. And when we recognize that there's no tiger coming out of the closet, okay, it's not going to drain your blood. There's no vampires that you're going to have to kill with the excessive garlic, okay? Nothing literally is going to happen, but we're going to be able to prove that something detrimental is going to happen if you don't try.
Yeah.
And the reality is, and I mean this, I'm talking to you from the perspective of having literally lost everything. So to come and give me this woo-woo bullshit 5 or 6 years ago, I would have honestly told you, you also don't look like me and you don't understand me. That's what I would have said.
Yeah.
But the reality is the downside to not trying is so much more detrimental on the longevity of your life. And the truth of the matter is, especially Ben Al Arab, we're going to win or we're going to win. So which one? And
Yeah.
it's not a big, kind of ballsy persona. Just help me understand how exactly you could lose if you tried, because you're pretty much losing kind of hard by not trying.
Yeah.
And you've built this narrative in your mind. And if you have children, they're watching you. That's the other thing. Because
Yeah.
again, abusive household, very interesting dichotomy. But I would never not give it to the man. He fell 100 times, he got up 101. Like, I'm never going to, like, dialectically speaking, two things can both be true.
Yeah.
And so I would say to this person who's resisting to ask yourself, as your closest and most valuable asset that you are, as your best friend, what is the downside? What could happen that is life threatening if I try? And if it didn't work, what's going to happen? I say I tried.
Yeah.
Like, it's cliche, but it's true. Because when you win, what happens? You really win.
Yeah.
Like, you really win.
Yeah. I tell people all the time that they should be like grape leaves. And so they start laughing and I go, why is everything about food? And I say, because it's relatable to me. So when I say, how do you make these grape leaves? Immediately they go, oh, well, you take the leaf, what leaf? You didn't grow the leaves. Oh, you just get them from a jar? No, we want authentic, fresh, the best tasting. You have to grow the leaves. Well, that's going to take months. Yeah, it's going to take months. And then you're going to have to butcher the meat. And then you're going to have to go, procure the rice. And then you're going to, after all that, it still has to go in the pot. And you still need. So just think of something as simple as grape leaves. If you knew what had to go into that A to Z process, isn't it worth it? You've had it before. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So do the work. Put in the work and don't look around. Just as you mentioned in your mom's kitchen, there's probably not, even if they have the most beautiful windows, a real good cook isn't staring out the windows half the time. They're concentrating on the meal.
You're literally sweating in your food. That's why it's good. Get a grip.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but the point is that people always have those sayings like, oh, is the juice worth the squeeze and whatever. Like, if you've never squeezed, and stop talking about the juice, just start.
There's something I'll add.
Yeah, go ahead.
Atomic Habits. If you're literally not willing to do the work and show up for the thing that you want, do me a solid and just take it off your list.
Yeah.
And it's not to be self-deprecating and rude. It's just to say, like, the only thing that is keeping you between the thing that you want is the just word. It's the just make the call. It's the just take out the paper. It's the just start typing. It's the just put your sneakers out by your door so that you could just get the work. Whatever the thing is, you just have to pick up the phone, write the thing, put the sneakers out. And the truth is, I'm telling you, writing galore. I built a beautiful prison in my mind that was not only limiting. What do you mean limiting beliefs? I had no beliefs. Right? None. And it's really crazy because I was living life very disconnected in a way that's pretty dangerous. And I look around at this beautiful world and this country also, and I go, and you want to tell me that it's not possible? Like, Look how our families came. Like, right? No, it's not perfect, but the fact that we're alive and we live to tell it, to me, is like winning enough,
Yeah, 100%. And again, I know a lot of people who are going to be listening to this are going to be, inspired by your story. And I want to make sure I give them kind of an opportunity to hear from you on what you would consider to be those 1 or 2 or 3 tips, in addition to kind of what you've mentioned already, that you would give to somebody when it comes to understanding their personal brand and what they can do to embrace their culture and just tips or tricks that somebody could implement today or start today, that can get them to where they want to go, so that they can eventually kind of look at that finished product and be proud of it.
So there's a few, and they're pretty non-traditional, I think. So the first is, I would go to your board of directors, or as I call them, boardies, the people closest to you. I don't care if they're your siblings or your parents. It's relative to your relationship, or your business colleagues. And for me, they're my best friends. And I want you to ask at least 5 people in their own words to describe you, and you can't give them any pointers. You can't say, describe me in business, describe me at home, describe me in bed. You can't say any of those things.
Right.
You just say, in your words, please describe me. What is it that you see? And you can't take offense to it. Just take it down. By the way, you just conducted free market research from people who know you. That's number one. So they're telling you how they receive you, and we need to understand how people receive information from you. So that's step 1. Step 2, have an honest conversation with your best friend. That's you. Show up for yourself like you do your best friend, and ask yourself how you define success and how you want to leave people feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that when you show up in the world, if there's any disparaging difference between the things you say and how you act, and if they don't answer the definition of what makes you most successful in your eyes and how you want to leave people feeling, you know that you're out of what? It's called congruence. When you're not congruent, when 2 sides don't equal, you have a serious problem. And it doesn't mean you can't fix it, but you just have to identify the leak, right? And the third thing, be around people who, when they do math, 1 + 1 is 11. What that means is, don't you dare ever consider yourself the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, I need you to get the hell out of that room so fast. Just pretend your mom is cooking and you have to leave. Okay?
Yep.
Literally, you can't be the smartest person in the room. If you're around 1 + 1 is 2s, you're in the wrong room. And by the way, these 3 things I just shared are not only free, they're invaluable. And they also require an honest depiction, not an aspirational depiction. My entire life is optimized by AI. It's been since before AI became a thing. I build systems for a living. The downside to not being honest and doing these things that I'm suggesting, that science has backed, is that you live in a world of aspiration. So you build a fake life with these fake tools. And next thing you know, you'll build your fake husband and have your fake children, and everything's fake. And it sounds really harsh, but the opposite of real is what? Fake.
Yeah.
Right? That may have been a little harsh, but it's the truth. It's the truth.
No, that's amazing. Even for us in this podcast, when I sat with my wife and I was telling her, launching this podcast and all this, there were so many pieces to it. There's so many, like, how are you going to put this? How is that going to get posted? How are you going to edit this? How are you going to do that? Things that I have been very vocal with Sam about being horrible at. I said, listen, and I joked, and I was like, Isma'i, and I'm in front of the camera, okay? Not the behind the camera. And I'm a specialist, professional, so I'm not that guy who does all those things. But then when she saw I was doing all of these, and she goes, I know you're not, like, this is not a budget decision. What's going on here? And I said, because I want to know how hard it is. And so she was like, And I said, yeah, because if I do grow the team and this project does grow, I want to be able to tell them I know how valuable you are. And that's what I want. And I want to be able to do that. But a lot of people would be like 100 here, 500 here, 300 here. All right. And I highly encourage everybody who is listening, who's trying to build something, like, it's gonna be good for you if you get a couple lumps, if you my mom is this expert cook, and she's still got those burns on her arm from all those pita bread situations that didn't go right for her. But guess what? Those are like her, battle scars to live to tell about it. And so I highly encourage everybody to do that. And I really appreciate you, Sam. I started introducing you as Sam. Khalas, we've moved to Sam. Khalas.
It's okay. I
when you mentioned Robin Williams, please. Robin Williams,
I consider him Khali.
When people talk about Robin Williams, I was just on a podcast a couple months ago or a month ago, and they were asking me about comedy and stuff. And I said, guys, I saw Robin Williams, because they said, well, committed suicide. I said, allegedly, and so they're like, oh, okay, explain that. And I was like, well, his wife says he may have had, a certain condition. And I said, but the one thing I hold on to that Robin Williams always said was that when he's in a situation, sometimes he gets a headache from how much analysis of his surroundings he's doing in a comedic form. And I said, that's me. Like, I'm not comparing myself comedically to Robin Williams, even though my mom would be like, "It's so much better,"
I love her. Is she adopting?
My dad is the one though that'll pop the balloon and just be like, "Robin Williams, come on." No. But yeah. So like, I hear that and I say to myself, "Wow, when you drop me into any room, any situation, I can look around the room." And I can just laugh with myself, and that may look crazy to some people.
I like
but
it.
when they ask it, what are you laughing at? I'll say, the guy across the room, it looked like he was a little bit upset and I'll tell this whole story about people I've never spoken to, never met. And then, lo and behold, after a while, they'll stand up and they'll say something that makes it clear what they were thinking. And my wife will be like, "How did you know?" And I was like, I just felt
Reading
it.
the room.
Yeah.
What's interesting? There's two things I want to add because I want to really encourage us to also be the audience. So when you say, if this podcast succeeds and if we grow the business, let's replace if with when.
Inshallah, when?
Okay. Inshallah, akid. All right. Second of all, I love the reality that you want to learn how to build the watch once. You just want to understand the value, the intricacy of making the watch.
Right.
You're going to be the conductor and the train, and you're going to be. No one said that. You want to know how, not because of a control, but to your point, the value add. Now we act. You won't know until you walk a day in their shoes. Like walk.
Right.
Walk and try. And then you're going to figure out where your native magic is. And you're going to go, like, if you're me, don't be handing me accounts payable, accounts receivable. I'm sending the checks to the wrong people. Everyone's getting paid but me. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's not going to be good. Go make the money. No problem. Go find the clients. No problem. Walk in the room and be a butt of all jokes. No problem. Right? Like, oh, I'm purchasing, definitely shipping to the wrong location if I'm on that. Like, just so you know. Okay. But I love and respect it so much.
Yeah.
I also love and respect that you bring your boardies with you. You bring your wife, with mama, with baba, because the truth is they're shaping you only every day. I don't know, like Arab necessarily versus Americans, but like, my mom still tells me that I need the house key to get in the house, right? She reminds me that I need the house key to get in the house. Like, they don't live in this world of you're 18 and you're an adult. So like,
yeah, no.
I'm the youngest I've ever been, first of all. But second of all, we're just still their kid. So I in a way really love that so much. And so I love that you carry them with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And our moms are allowed that. They earned it and they can have a little bit of crazy. My mom used to call me on my house line, and when I would answer, she would say, "Wainak." I'm like, and yani, he called the house line, Habibti, yani. You should know.
You're like the house line. So before the helicopter parents thing here in America, Nayat al-Mama Tiara.
Yeah.
Okay? We call her Tiara. And I was like, yo, you're the OG helicopter mom. Like, you have a plane. You don't even have a helicopter. You have a plane. Okay. I'm like, you have coverage. There's many seats in this plane, right?
Absolutely. No, for sure. I know now we're getting to the point of the conversation, which is the albab part, which I know with Sam you will understand and respect. The albab, for those who didn't take Arab 101, that's where you think you're leaving. You can see your car, you can see the outside, you see nature, but you're not leaving because there's still more questions that have to come your way before you're allowed to leave. So don't say the kids have to be put to sleep. You're still getting those questions. So with that being said, the albab portion does have a charitable side to it, because sometimes the questions people want to skip, I tell them you can't skip. We get in an argument. So if there's that situation where you can't answer something, you got to donate to a charity of your choice. If you get through all of them, I'll donate to the charity of your choice. It's an honor system, $1 million, $1, whatever you want. But the charity that you chose was Aces Matter, which is at acesmatter.org for people to get more info. But tell us real quick, why did you choose that organization?
Acesmatter.org, Adverse Childhood Experiences, is such a beautiful organization. It is an unfortunate reality that it has to exist. There are 15 studied adverse childhood experiences here as of today. There are many. And this is anywhere from, experiencing child homelessness to drug use around and abuse of all sorts and so forth. I met the founder at her TED Talk. She inspired me to do mine, and I just did mine April 18th. ACEs Matter is a huge platform that is shape-shifting how we decide to tap in to our adverse childhood experiences, because as we say, we take our ACEs places. We ask not what's wrong with you, we ask what happened to you. And it's a space where you can gain tools and community. We hosted a comedy show for ACEs. It was a trauma-informed comedy show. So I opened up by saying I'm very informed with trauma.
Yeah.
And that is how I opened. And 150 people showed up to support the cause, because the reality is when you feel seen, heard, and understood, much like this podcast, and you can identify the pattern, you can what? Repair, redirect, course correct. And so ACEs is a space to empower you to perhaps create a positive outcome with your adverse childhood experience.
Inshallah. That's amazing. If anybody wants information on ACEs Matter, it's ACESMATTER.org, acesmatter.org. So now we're at the Al-Bab portion. So we have approached the door. Your hand is on the handle of the door, and you obviously think you're leaving, but you're not. So here are a few questions that are scenarios and questions that are that are Arab awkward, and those who are not Arab, they may not get this, but this is awkward for us. So are you ready, Wissam?
I am ready.
Okay. أول سؤال. All right. Your friend gets married and you give them a wedding gift. Then they get divorced, which happens, and they get married again, which happens. And then they get divorced again, and each time you've been giving them a gift. So the question is at any point, does Sam Ghanem stop giving them wedding gifts, reduce it, or are you financially committed to their love life forever?
I'm probably committed to their financial love life forever.
That's tough.
You know what I would get them?
Yeah.
Books. That's what I would get them.
Well, you're at least nice enough that you're not taxing them.
They'll probably stop asking me to come, because I will be buying them boring gifts to help themselves, and that's how I can get out of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know Arab, we love to regift. So the next question that I have here is, let's say somebody was interested in you, mashallah, romantically, and they had invited you to a coffee shop. But when you arrive, you notice they already bought their coffee. What's your next move?
I stare at them awkwardly like I am right now. They already bought the coffee?
They bought they invited you. They said, Wissam, mashallah, I'd love to meet you. Please come to the coffee shop. And I don't know why they have such a thick accent.
I was going to ask you, are they that fresh? Like that much?
Yeah, for sure.
If you're that fresh, I'm probably not going. But
yeah, their shirt still smells like coffee because it was just in the suitcase from the day before when they flew in.
Very fresh. Day before.
Yeah.
Honestly, even if it wasn't a romantic interest, yani, bala adab.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you get invited even. We have plans. You don't even wait for me to order. So what I would do is, like a very respectful woman that I am, I would give you dirty looks and judge you.
Good.
Maybe I would order my request relatively loudly, so you knew that I wanted a matcha with oat milk, lavender, please.
Oh man, Dora, you mentioned matcha. My wife at the end of the podcast is gonna say she wants to connect with Wissam. I can tell you right
Let's
now.
go on matcha dates, wifey. Hide your wife.
All right. So you brought up something that goes into the next question. You go out with your Arab friend for lunch, no occasion, just to be nice though. You buy the lunch. You say, Alayya, no problem. The next time you go, a couple weeks later, the bill comes and they look at you and say, do you want to split it? What's the next move with them?
The judgment. I remind them that I'm not Dutch and I pay.
Right. So you pay for it, but then they're usually on probation after that.
Yes, we became the bank. Sirna bank. That's what happens.
All right. Great. Okay. So last couple here. if a random white person asks you if you are originally Pakistani, do you explain that there's no such thing as Pakistani, or do you just answer them honestly?
I might say yes. But also, it's like when people ask me where I'm from, and before I can finish even attempting to say any words, they go, "Oh, you're Jewish," and I go, "You can't be from Jewish."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll just say yes because my brain hurts.
Yeah. I oftentimes will make up something, be like Saeed, like the president, and they're like, ah. And I just take joy out of their confusion walking away. All right. So you have to now eliminate one person's entire career and keep one person's career and eliminate the other, basically. Who are you eliminating? Kulthum or Fairuz?
Oh, shit.
Yes. This is where the donations happen. You got to choose one. I'm trying to help out Aces Matter here.
I feel like I have to hack Fairuz.
So you're Xing out Fairuz and you're keeping Kulthum.
I don't know. People are literally rolling around in their graves presently in Warak.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to keep Kulthum.
All right. Well, people are going to go at you, and so you're keeping.
Well, I'm getting canceled today, so.
So you're keeping Kulthum.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No problem.
I have to answer to some people.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So the next question that I have for you, and we're almost done here. We're almost done. All right. If you are at an Arab gathering full of people that you have never met before, is it ever okay to grab the last piece of anything on the table?
Yes.
True. When is it? What do you mean?
I don't even know you people.
So even if you don't, you're the type that's gonna reach in and grab the last whatever it is.
Remember the part where I said we show up authentic? So you want me to front? You want me to go lie over there?
I'm just saying, like.
Wait a minute. How can this answer be wrong?
There's no wrong answers.
You're judging, and I like it.
Yeah, I know this is my job, but like everybody who's going to be watching is going to judge. I'm just saying, like, for those that know,
you also can take the last piece of my mom's.
Well, I'm letting everybody know if you're having a meal with Sam, take what you can while it's there.
You probably want to play your food first. Honestly, I'm going for a second round. I wore elastic pants again.
All right. Is hummus a meal, a dip, or a side?
This is literally like war.
This is
hummus, a meal, a dip, or a side. All of them.
So they're all, again, don't feel like.
You can make a literal sandwich with hummus.
Yes.
You can eat it as a snack.
Yes.
And it can be a dip, but a particular man who I love the most, Mohammed, it's illegal to use carrots or celery. So It's all of them. For me, it's almost always a side.
It's only illegal, and I have no problem correcting Mohammed. It's only illegal if the idea wasn't yours. Meaning that if somebody comes to you and has a little bowl of hummus and they have some little carrot sticks, and that's the only thing that's available to you, you have every right then to revert back to being a full Arab by using whatever can go in your hand to dip into whatever's
including
in the bowl.
Your hand?
Including your hand, for sure. For sure. Anybody wants to challenge me on this stuff, you can, Arab is Me podcast, send us a DM. All right, last two questions. You drive your brand new car to your Arab friend's house. You show them the car and you're like, check it out. Brand new. Amazing. 5 minutes after you leave, the tire goes flat.
Min ayunun.
Okay. Thank you for the correction. For anybody out there who thinks they thought they hit a nail, you didn't. You hit hasad. You hit pain. And that there was nothing in the road at all. This is just how it works.
It literally came out of the sky from nowhere. There was not any shrapnel of any kind on the road.
Yes, for sure. And the only other exception to that rule is if an Arab mom wanted you to do something for her and you say no and you leave the house, it's at that point, it's not hasad, it's a special type of witchcraft that all Arab mothers have, where they can go, Tayyib, you don't want to help me? And they just give you that look, and it deflates your tire in real time.
It's like a bow and arrow, like it has GPS, like a shahata, right? Yes.
Exactly. Speaking of GPS, last question here. All right, last question. You're going out. You're very social, according to all these questions. You're going everywhere, right? You're going out. So,
except with the guy with the coffee.
Yeah. So, Sam Ghanem is getting into her car. She realizes she's a little bit late. Her friend texts her and says, Sam, how far are you? You check the GPS. It says 1 hour. Sam Ghanem, what are you telling your friend back in that text message?
40 minutes, 45 minutes. Listen, my cousin, God bless her, Allah yahmiya.
Yeah.
You will be late to all the things I'm not even going to say. And the best is she made my comedy show on my birthday, because all of a sudden I see a silhouette. I'm already on stage. I'm opening and I see a silhouette. And she 10 minutes of my set, I went ham.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And she will tell you she's on the way. She's still inside the house.
Well, that's better than I did a comedy festival in New York, and you don't perform every single time. There's like 6 or 8 shows. You don't perform every single one. And I definitely had a friend who came after the show, hugged me, said I was amazing on a show I didn't perform on, and then tried to tell me they were on time. And so these things happen. And that's sometimes that's why there's something called the falaga, where you have to just smack, and smack it back into them. So, all right, great. All the people who answer that question, it's so funny because some of them have even said, one particular guest said, I'd have to be honest to him and tell him like 45 minutes. And I was like, but that's not honest.
Not honest.
It's not an hour. They're like, yeah, I mean, that's honest. Like,
you could just say minutes.
Yeah. Hey, Arib. Hey, I can see you.
I'm here. I'm turning. I didn't say where. I just said I'm turning.
Exactly. This light has been red for an hour. Yeah. Either way, I really appreciate the conversation. For everybody who wants to know more about Wissam, you can definitely find her on social media at Sam W. Ghanem. So Sam WGHANEM. It'll be on the screen. You all can definitely follow her, and when we drop the episode, we'll be tagging her as well. Any final thoughts, Wissam?
No, I just appreciate you so much. I'm so grateful for this space. Just remember that hummus is a universal language of love. Always lie when you're running late, and please do hard things. Do things that scare you. Please go and just start.
Absolutely. Even if what scares you is if there's anything left over in the plate, because Wissam has no issue.
You better get there first. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Wissam. I really enjoyed the conversation. And thanks, everybody. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Arab is Me podcast, anywhere that podcasts are, and on social media. Make sure you follow us. Shukran. I enjoyed the conversation with Sam. Thank you so much, everybody. And we will see you on the next episode. Salamat.
Salamat. Thank you.